this video, I tried beating Terraria using weapons found in chests only. This means that I cannot craft weapons myself or pick them up from slain enemies. There aren't that many good weapons in the chests, so the question is, will I be able to find the right weapons to progress through the game to defeat the final boss Moonlord? Stay tuned to find out. To get things started, what better way than to chop down some trees for wood? I collected around 400 pieces and began making my way to the left side of the world to obtain my first weapon inside a chest. But I stumbled upon a buried pyramid. Inside I found the sandstorm in a bottle, which in my opinion is the best item to get compared to the flying carpets and Pharaoh's vanity sets. I continued downwards to find my first life crystal, and because I was in the underground desert, I wanted to keep exploring to find the storm spare. But I heard a tomb crawler approaching me, and with those things around, there was no way for me to continue on, so I headed back up to eventually find myself the wooden boomerang as my first weapon. Now I was able to start killing monsters, but this weapon isn't that great, and missing an attack with it would make me vulnerable to monsters close to me, so I wanted something stronger and more reliable. That's when I found the mace in the jungle along with the suspicious looking eye. I searched around the jungle some more to find Hermes boots, a trident, boomstick that had godly on it, so now I had a ranged weapon to use, enough diamonds for a hook, and life crystals to reach max health. Back up on the surface, I stored some of my items away, crafted a platinum pickaxe, some armor, the diamond hook, and built some NPC houses. I wanted the arms dealer to spawn so that I could purchase musket balls to use the boomstick, but it was a while away until day, so I decided to summon the Eye of Cthulhu, and just use my trident and mace against it. I started with the trident first, but realized that it wasn't the right weapon to use because of its short reach, so I grabbed the mace out of my chest to use instead. And man, it was a lot better. Don't get me wrong, it still took, in my opinion, a really long time, but if it works, it works. After defeating the boss, the arms dealer moved in, so I bought some musket balls. The boomstick was now going to be my main weapon, so to make this weapon even stronger, I went back to the underground desert, mined desert fossils, extracted them to get enough sturdy fossils to make fossil armor. This increased range damage, critical strike chance, and gave 20% chance to not consume ammo. I thought about taking on the Eater of Worlds next, however, with the current weapons that I had, it wasn't going to be enough to take it down, so I figured I'd take on Skeletron first. I arrived at the dungeon, built an arena, and then talked to the old man to summon the boss. I was able to destroy both hands pretty easily with the boomstick, and with only the head left, it became a breeze. After Skeletron was defeated, I had access into the dungeon now. This place was literally heaven because of the many chests it holds inside, but there were only the Shadow Key, Cobalt Shield, and one weapon that I actually wanted. The first chest had the Muramasa and the Shadow Key. Not what I was looking for, but it'll help for a short bit. I found the Cobalt Shield, and then the Blue Moon. This was the weapon I was looking for. Why? Well, you're about to find out. I made my way into the Corruption and broke 3 Shadow Orbs to summon the Eater of Worlds. And during this boss fight, I basically stood in a single spot, holding down the attack button with the Blue Moon to shred this thing apart. I didn't have to worry about health since this boss had a high chance to drop a bunch whenever a segment is killed. With Shadow Scales and Demonite Bars, I crafted the Nightmare Pickaxe and full Shadow Armor. It was almost time to take on the Wall of Flesh, so I started mining down to Hell. After reaching Hell, I opened Shadow Chests, finding the Dark Lance, Sun Fury, and Hellwing Bow, which were all going to be used later on. I mined a bunch of Hellstone to make the Molten Pickaxe and a Molten Armor that boosted my Sun Fury damage from 70 to 82. I then went to the right side of the world to farm Goblin Scouts for Tattered Cloth in order to summon the Goblin Army. Once the army was defeated, I went underground and found the Tinkerer. I purchased Rocket Boots and the Workshop to combine my accessories together, but not quite yet. I grabbed the Anklet of the Wind to make Lightning Boots, along with the Shiny Red Balloon and the Lucky Horseshoe to make the Yellow Horseshoe Balloon, both giving me some really nice mobility. It was finally time to battle against the wall, so I went all the way to the right side of the world, threw in the Voodoo Doll to summon it. I thought using the Sun Fury would be better here, but the Hungries were preventing me from getting close to the boss, so I had to resort to using the Hellwing Bow. I opened the treasure bag and received the Warrior's Emblem, which was exactly what I wanted. There weren't any other weapons for me to get for now until I defeat Planta, which meant I'm gonna have to use what I have right now to defeat the mechanical bosses. The best chance of doing all this would be using the Sun Fury, since it had the highest damage, so that's why the Warrior's Emblem is going to strengthen it a bit more. Back at the Corruption, I broke Demon Altars to spawn in the hard mode ores, mined enough of them to craft adamantite armor. I now needed wings, so I farmed Souls of Flight from Wyverns to make angel wings, and with all that, I'm all set to take on the mech bosses. When night arrived, I summoned the Destroyer as the first one, and it went exactly how I thought it would be. Attacking right at the clumped up area with the Sun Fury completely decimated this thing within seconds. Next up were the twins, and there's actually a trick that I like to use when using the Sun Fury against this boss to deal consistent damage. I built two walls that protects me from projectiles, stand in between them, and then throw out my Sun Fury. Once it's extended, I hold the attack button to make it become stationary. This only works whenever the boss locks onto your character, but whenever the boss dashes, I would have to start dodging again. After the twins were defeated, I summoned Skeletron Prime, and for this fight, I ended up using the Dark Lance because I found it easier to land attacks, especially when the boss spun at me. Once having all 3 souls, I crafted the pickaxe axe, mined chlorophyte ore, and while doing so, found the Planta bulb. I mined over 400 chlorophyte, so I went back home, made myself a full set of chlorophyte armor, but instead of making the melee helmet, I crafted the ranged one, because now I'll be switching back to the Hellwing bow. The Sun Fury against Planta was definitely a no-go. If I'm gonna have a chance at beating this boss, I'm gonna have to attack it from afar. With the rest of the chlorophyte, I crafted chlorophyte arrows to boost my damage. With the armor equipped, I realized that they changed the set bonus of the crystal leaf projectile. Before I used to shoot a single leaf at enemies, but now it's a laser, which was way better. After finishing the arena, I broke the bulb to summon the boss. The good thing about chlorophyte arrows is that they're able to bounce off walls to then home in onto enemies, so I didn't have to actually point and aim directly at the boss. After I took down Planta, it was time to get my very last weapon, which was the Scourge of the Corruptor. I had to kill monsters in the corruption for them to drop the corruption key to open up the corruption chest in the dungeon. So to speed things up, I flattened an area, placed lava, and waited until one dropped. After a solid 50 minutes, one finally dropped, so I rushed over to open the corruption chest, and inside wasn't just the regular Scourge of the Corruptor. Instead, it had Godly on it, the best modifier it could have. I returned home, crafted the melee hollowed armor set, and set off back into the jungle to take on golems. What makes this weapon really good is the fact that once the projectiles hit an enemy or even a block, it'll explode into many more projectiles that home in onto enemies. After Golem, I farmed giant tortoises for turtle shells to craft turtle armor, and with the beetle shells that I got from Golem, I turned it into beetle armor. With that, I went back to the dungeon for the last time to summon the lunatic cultist. Once the cultist was killed, I destroyed all 4 celestial pillars and prepared to fight against the final boss, Moonlord. Alright, that's it for the video. I hope you all enjoyed. My final thoughts on this challenge, it was actually not that bad. Even the part where I pretty much just stuck with the Hellwing Bow and Sun Fairy all the way up until Planta. It was slow, but not as slow as I expected. Anyways, if you did enjoy watching the video, don't forget to leave a like, comment down below if you have any other mod or video ideas you want me to try out, and of course subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Peace!